welcome. Episode 13, Near Fall Podcast. You are live here at the time that I recorded this with Joel Ramirez. It's just me today. Kids. Cody, he's on a vacation, and we tried very hard, very fervently to get some guest hosts or get some of the old Near Fall Podcast members out of retirement. Tried to get an interview lined up. Had an interview lined up. Had some things come up. Wasn't able to get it knocked out. But nevertheless, I am here, ready to deliver one of the best podcasts you've ever heard to you, live from the original home of the Near Fall Podcast, the original Near Fall Studios. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Cody is enjoying the sunny beach weather over at the coast, so he can't be here. As sad as it makes me, I have to carry on and push forward and just do that. So that's what I'm going to do. I got a couple of things lined up. Obviously, we're going to talk about Hogan. You know, how do you not talk about Hogan this week? So we'll talk about Hogan, and I'll get into a little experience I had at a house show, which I guess I'm kind of baiting it and leading it on a little too hard. It wasn't an experience. I didn't have I had a cool experience, but it wasn't like I had some encounter or anything. It was actually the first one I've ever been to, so I want to talk about that a little bit because I thought it was off the hook, crazy good. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about a few things, whatever I guess comes to my mind because I'm the only one here. So, yeah, that's about all I got for a cold open. We could talk about. I could cover what happened with the Battleground predictions, so I'll cover that. Spoiler alert, I win. I'm pretty much the John Cena of our Battleground prediction game, so there's that. But you probably already knew that if you're alive and have a pulse and one of the 50-ish people that listen to the show. So, yeah, there's that. So I'll cover that in depth. We'll do a little review on that Battleground show, which I thought was a pretty good show, all in all. But, yeah, so thanks for downloading us today, tonight, wherever you are, whenever you are. Thanks for listening. Help us spread the word about the show. We have a good time doing it. We hope you guys enjoy it. And if you could, help us out and spread the word. We're going to go ahead here and get into the meat of the show. So hope you guys enjoy. All right, we're back. We're back here to talk about Battleground. And I keep saying we're, but it's just me. So, hey, sorry, used to being more than one. But, so Battleground, the third installment, episode, edition, whatever you want to call it, of Battleground. I thought it was great. It was just a little, another spoiler alert. It was foreshadowed by what I thought was one of the best Raws of the year, the night after. But anyways, so you had a couple matches that were just pointless to me. King Barrett versus R-Truth, which obviously Barrett won. I think Randy Orton versus Sheamus was kind of a pointless match, even though I got a lot of time. I got almost 17 minutes. I didn't care a lot for that match. I don't care for that feud. I don't think it's going anywhere, but needless to say, it was a decent match. Didn't blow the doors off. You had Primetime Players versus New Day. Hopefully we can move on and from that feud and get some new blood injected into the tag team division, because I think right now that's my phone. It's a Pedro Martinez Hall of Fame acceptance speech. It's pretty much just the same two teams battling back and forth every week. So I don't think people really care for that. I know I don't care for it too much. So, but it is what it is, I guess. There's not a whole lot of life in the tag team division. So I know they had this problem for a while, and they called up the Ascension and didn't do anything with them. So we'll see. But, Primetime Players won that match. I think, it was pretty obvious they were going to win that match. But, Next match, we had Bray Wyatt defeated Roman Reigns. So I had foreshadowed that. I had thought that was going to happen. I, in fact, was the only person to predict that outcome here in our little group. But it wasn't exactly what I thought. I didn't think that the family was going to get back together, but they did. So in a way, they did. I think they're still awaiting a third member, which a lot has made about who's that going to be. Is it going to be somebody from NXT? Is it going to be Bray Wyatt's actual family member, Bo Dallas? Which there's no way. But so next match, you had a triple threat match, a Divas match, which was a surprise to me. We were kind of looking at it as we were sitting around waiting for it to come on, and we were kind of wondering, is there going to be more matches? Because you only have 7 matches total, and one of them's or 6 matches total, and one of them's on the pre-show, so you're only going to have 5 matches. And we'd heard some rumblings on the internet about, there's going to be a triple threat Divas match and whatnot. So, glad that it happened. It was a good match. I actually predicted that match as well. As there's a theme here. So, at this point in the show, we're 5 matches in. I had picked all 5 correctly, as should be no surprise for anyone. So I thought that was good. They got 11 minutes on a pay-per-view, which was more than most of the other matches. It was more than the King versus King match, more than the Tag Team Championship match, more than the main event actually. So that was kind of cut short, but either way, it was more. So I thought it was good. They're really embracing the Divas division, and I think that's great. Especially I have 2 young daughters, as probably most of you know, because you're probably mostly my family. So that was a little depressing. That was a depressing comment. I shouldn't have made that. But either way, you know what? I think it's great. I think it's great for the sport, and I think the fans are really into it. So that's great. Next match we had, of course, John Cena burying Kevin Owens. That's a shout out there to Juicy Joe and all of the Cena haters in the world. Truth is, Cena's not burying anybody. He's just better than Kevin Owens. And, it makes more sense for him to win and then leave Kevin Owens still struggling to find his way. He'll probably be out of the sport in 2 years, right? That's the idea. I saw this picture the other day on Facebook, and it was people's careers that never recovered after a feud with John Cena. And it was like R-Truth, Rusev. It was like people who still are, involved, and they're not main event guys. But here's the thing: this is going to be kind of a rude awakening for some people, but not everybody can be in the main event picture, right? Like, some people have to be out of it. They can't all be in it. So, hey, if it's been John Cena for 10 years, then more power to him, because he earned it. So, anyways, John Cena won that match. It was a good match. I didn't have any problems with that match. I didn't have any problems with the way it was booked. I thought that it was great that John Cena won. Kind of leaves Kevin Owens in a position to where he's maybe more desperate. Something's going to happen with him, and he's not going anywhere. I know there have been a lot of rumors flying around that Kevin Dunn, who's a backstage guy for the company, he hates all NXT guys, and that's why Cena won, and he's trying to bury anybody who came up from NXT because those aren't his guys, and that's just crazy. It's I don't know. I don't see how that could be happening. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me that anybody would be on board with that. So doubt that's happening, but needless to say, I think Kevin Owens is going to be just fine. I think maybe they're working an angle where he eventually gets the title from somebody else, and he's not the one to take it from Cena. And I originally had heard another theory that maybe Cena would never be able to beat Kevin Owens, and Owens would always be that guy that he was not able to beat, and doesn't look like that's the case. So maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Owens will never be able to beat Cena when it's a big match, when the belt's on the line or something like that. So it's a possibility, but like we say on this show a lot, we've said it a million times, we'll say it a million more. You never know. You never ever know what they're planning or what they're thinking over there. So best thing we could do is sit around and complain about it on the internet and piss and moan about it all day, which is hey, it gives us all something to do, right? I know there's tens of thousands of people on Twitter, and that's kind of their main deal. So we complain about it, but we really do enjoy it, and I'll get into it a little bit later. But I recently went to my first house show, so go to my first Raw here in a couple weeks too, or a week from tomorrow. Everybody loves John Cena. Lady sitting in front of me had to have been in her 40s and was a huge John Cena fan. And as she was, during his match, she was screaming, "You better get him, John!" She was just going crazy. So everybody loves John Cena. If you've been listening to the show, if you're one of the few legacy listeners, you'll know that I am also a big John Cena fan. So there's that. Last match of the card for Battleground, most controversial match of the card for Battleground, was Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. And I don't like Seth Rollins' character. In fact, I pretty much hate his character. But man, I've seen some stuff on social media recently, and he's pretty much an all right guy. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the fact that he was up against the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar, the streak breaker, the conqueror, and he won. And he did it with a little help from the Undertaker, but he still won the match. And so I think things are looking pretty good for him. Doesn't have a match booked yet for SummerSlam. Looks like it's probably going to be John Cena, much to the chagrin of everybody. But so that's the big news. Undertaker returns. Did he wait? Yeah, he waited. He waited, 15 months. But I think the angle they were working with the whole build-up, and you kept mentioning it, and that's the case because I know everybody out there, as much as everybody loves Brock Lesnar, I mean, he's over the moon, right? But we all got a little tired of hearing that. The one behind the one in 21-1. Yeah, I mean, it was cool, but they really milked it. And so I think it's good. I think the time was right for him to come back. And from what I've been reading, and you can never read too much into it, but that was a gag there. Can't read too much into what you're reading. Anyways, jokes don't work about myself, man. I try hard. I can't make myself laugh. I'm not. So if Cody was here, he'd probably be laughing at something. Listen to me. I'm talking like he's dead. He ain't dead. He's floating in the water. He's probably drunk. That's only one. He's probably a little drunk. So yeah, Taker comes back, interrupts the match. Seth Rollins disappears. He looked okay. Taker looked okay. Obviously, he looks a little old, and he had a hard time picking up 300-pound Brock Lesnar, but hey, you would too. So, Anyways, that was Battleground. I thought top to bottom was a good show. There were some parts I didn't particularly care for, and that's just I didn't really understand the storyline angles. All of the work was good. Everybody worked their asses off, so it was an entertaining show. There were no bathroom break type matches, so I thought it was awesome. So kudos to the WWE and all of the superstars working on that card that really came together and put on an awesome show for all of us out there in the pro wrestling fan community. So we appreciate that. All right, gang, we're back, and I'm taking a different approach on this show. I'm doing it a little more segmented. The simple fact of the matter is there's no chemistry. There's no chemistry to record. There's no banter to capture because it's just me. So it's just me talking at you. And for that reason, it's probably not going to be as long. And it's probably not going to be as good. But the thing about it is, we just don't want to. We don't want to skip an episode. We're still recording episode 11. We haven't fully skipped it yet. We're still recording it, and it'll be published later. Like a fine wine or a cheese. It's going to take some time to get everything right, to get all the kinks worked out. So, just bear with us. It'll come out. Just keep listening. You'll get it eventually. So, I want to cover now. I want to briefly talk about Raw, the past week's Raw, which by the time you download this will be last week's Raw. So that was a rookie mistake. My apologies. I thought the Raw was great, man, top to bottom, from the Undertaker opening the show. Even though if you have Bleacher Report, you knew that he was going to open the show. I don't know how these people know this stuff, but I thought that was awesome. Kind of brought me back to the old childhood. It was one of my guys growing up was Taker for sure. But and then the whole fight, the big explosion with Lesnar, to the Divas match, to everything. I thought it was really great. The tag team match at the end was awesome. Awesome. The the RKO at the end from the slingshot blew my mind. It just blew my mind. I loved it. I marked out. I legitimately marked out. I don't mark out a lot. I don't mark out a lot. I try to mark out, but I have Bleacher Report, and it ruins everything. Between Bleacher Report and Twitter, I can't not mark out. So, that was that. Raw was cool. I thought it was one of the better ones I'd watched in a long time. It was one of the only ones in recent memory that I hadn't fast forward through a lot of. So I thought that was great. Then the next day we had Tough Enough, and Tough Enough, it's turning the corner. It's hard to have a reality show about a scripted thing, right? So you can just have who's the best wrestler or who's this, who's that. It's. I just don't like the way it's executed. It doesn't mean I don't watch it. It doesn't mean I don't want to watch it. I don't care for the way they do it. I don't care for Jericho as a host. I think he's too borderline drunk or whatever his problem is. But either way, needless to say, I still watch it, just like we all do with the WWE. I know we all have our problems with the WWE or things that we think we could do better, blah, blah, blah. But either way, I thought Patrick going home was a little premature. I thought it was a shocker. I was a little bit shocked at what happened. But that's the way it goes, right? I mean, all of these guys can go home at any time. So that's what's going to happen. So we'll have to see. He man, I'm losing it today. He was one of the guys that I had picked to win this thing. So he's not going to be there. So I don't think he's going to win. I need to get a soundboard. We need to get a soundboard here. We can start getting some jokes cracked out here. And I think if I interject some fake applause, then I'll feel better about myself. But, as for right now, I'm not feeling the jokes. They're not working. The jokes are not over right now. So there again is my phone. That is another alert. And it was Matt Duffy hitting a 2-run home run. So shout out to Matt Duffy, who is not a close personal friend of mine. So he'll not hear this. And that's okay, because you know what? He still knows. He should be able to sense it. Back to Raw. So I actually like the Stardust Neville thing that's working right now. I don't know if that started on Raw or SmackDown, but either way, it came on WWE programming last week, and I like that angle. I like that Stardust did not switch back to Cody Rhodes and put on polka dots. I think his father would have wanted him to keep doing what he was doing, because that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to switch up his character. I don't know how much that was just for TV that he wanted to do it, or if he actually wanted to do it. I mean, you can't do a character like that if you don't want to, I don't think. So, big shout out to Cody Rhodes for sticking in there and doing what he wanted to do and not letting what everybody on the internet wants him to do get to him. So, kudos, shout out to you, my man. I also thought SmackDown was good. I found that SmackDown is getting better. I think maybe they're doing that, building towards the switch to USA. But I don't know. We'll see. I think it's not going to be. You can't have two number one shows. So people have to keep that in mind when they're criticizing SmackDown, that you really can't have two number one shows. So as far as that goes, I thought the programming this week for WWE was pretty good. I didn't have any major problems with it. I thought everything was pretty good. I'm also really getting into Swerved. My wife and I, shout out to Kylie, just watched a couple episodes of it. It's really pretty funny. So one of our favorite gags or pranks they've done this whole time has been the brother and sister at the restaurant. I thought that was super funny. I mean, Heath Slater, and when for those of you that have watched it, when Fandango hit him with the pie, who's actually really good live. I'll cover that in the next segment. But he hit him with the pie. Heath Slater jumped up like fists ready to rock. So the show's great. Check it out if you get the chance. Of course, it's on the network. And it could be yours for $9.99. So I'm trying to bring that thing back, that $9.99 thing. Kind of died out. Trying to bring it back. So, that's pretty much my thoughts on the week of WWE programming. One thing I wanted to talk about was Lucha Underground. I've recently got back into Lucha Underground. I think it's a hell of a show. There's an awesome episode of the Stone Cold podcast, the Unleashed podcast, where he talks to Eric Van Wagenen, who is the EP, the executive producer for Lucha Underground. He also worked on Tough Enough 2011 with Stone Cold and Legends House and a couple other WWE things. But he shared a lot of insight as to why Lucha Underground is so kind of out there with in terms of their out of ring promos. So their overall vision for Lucha Underground is not what you would think. You would think they want to have WrestleMania type event. They want to have monthly pay-per-view installments. Well, that's not their plan. They're trying to get this thing to a point where they can spin it off into movies, comic books, graphic novels, which I don't know if those are the same or not. I don't really keep up. Sorry. And things like that. So they're working on like backstory movies for Dario Cueto and all those kind of things, because if you follow it, Dario Cueto's brother is like some mangy dude who lives in the basement, and he's like a crazy person. So they've killed people off. It's really an entertaining show, and that's kind of what they talked about is their promos are not wrestling promos. They don't acknowledge the camera. They don't acknowledge the audience. They don't acknowledge that they're cutting a promo in any way, shape, or form. They're filmed with multiple cameras. They're like tiny little movies. That's what puts the production value or the production cost so high is the production value. They're not just throwing these things together with one camera. Not to say that the WWE or any other wrestling promotions has low production value or a low emphasis on production value, but Lucha Underground is just different. So it's a good show. They have their big event of the year, Ultima Lucha, coming up, starting this week, this Wednesday. So it's a 2-week special. They got Conan out of retirement. No, not Conan. Vampiro out of retirement. Obviously, he's probably not going to be what he used to be when he was in the WCW. I'm pretty sure he was in WCW. Conan will be there, probably. Cody's favorite. So, that's it. I haven't caught any TNA or Ring of Honor recently, so If you're out there listening and you're interested in being a contributor for TNA or Ring of Honor or Lucha or WWE or whatever you want to contribute for, we're always looking for input. You can, get in touch with us on Twitter at NearFallPod. You can email us nearfallpod@gmail.com. You can call us. You can call Cody at 661. Just kidding, Cody. But anyways, yeah, so that's pretty much our weekly review. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. I got a couple other things I want to talk about, so I'm going to come back. Brace yourselves. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to talk about the house show experience that I had here in my hometown. So, yeah, hang on. So, recently, this last week, Friday, a couple days ago, we had a house show here, Bakersfield, California, WWE Bakersfield, hashtag WWE Bakersfield. It's already long gone. Anyways, got some tickets for the show, didn't spend a whole lot. Just wanted to go and kind of check it out. I hadn't been to one in a long time, since I was a child, a little babe. So, grabbed my 2-year-old daughter, the Bruiser, Lyric. We shot down there. It was top to bottom awesome, right? It's so much more intimate than a huge show. Like, we went to Mania, we did the Mania thing, and that was fun. Mania was great, don't get me wrong. But, this is just so much different than that. It's intimate. There's maybe 2,000 people there, 2,500. Everybody's close. There are really no bad seats. If you think about it, I mean, there's a couple spots that you really can't see that great, but you're pretty close. We were, 40 feet from the ring, probably 50 feet from the ring. Great seats. The thing about it is all of the performers, entertainers, wrestlers, if you ask me, but they're all so relaxed because, they're not on TV. So you don't have to worry about being on TV. You can just go out there and do your moves and try stuff that you can't try on live TV, and you could do things you can't do on live TV. For instance, New Day comes out and they got heat right off the bat. Everybody hates them. They're booing even Lyric, my daughter, 2-year-old, booing them. Right? She doesn't even know how to boo. She's just boo, making noise, right? I didn't even know she knew how to boo. She knows how to boo now because of New Day. They've got heat. Primetime players are over. It's like everything just carries over from TV. So that was an awesome first match. Titus O'Neil's a big dude. I didn't realize that until I saw him in person. He's a big guy. But, so New Day comes out and they start singing "We Are the Champions" and everything like it's stuff that just wouldn't happen on TV. Randy Orton comes out. He has a match. He stays for almost 10 minutes after the match, signing autographs, kissing babies, shaking hands, giving John Cena guy a hard time. He popped a headband off a kid wearing a John Cena headband, popped it off, threatened to take it. That's my ice maker. Threatened to take it. It was awesome, man. They gave stuff away. They gave away Daniel Bryan book. They threw out autographed pictures. It was just, and I had never been. And I'd always said before, it came once a few months ago to Bakersfield, and we were going to go, and I was just like, you know what? It's just a house show. It probably sucks. Never again. Now, I haven't been to Raw. I'm going to Raw next week. My wife and I are going to San Jose for Raw. We're pretty excited. First, we got to get Nixon Mania out of the way, though. So that's coming up. That's coming up August 1st, Nixon Mania. That'll be my son's first birthday party. So we're going to get that out of the way first. Once that's out of the way, we're going full bore into Raw, which is only 2 days later. So either way, so that was that. But, so never been to Raw, never been to SmackDown. I think maybe I went to SmackDown once when it came here a long time ago when it used to be live. Either way, house show was great. The price, the atmosphere, the intimacy, not in a weird way, but just the way that it just all kind of flowed. It was great. Um, Kevin Owens. He was there in a street fight with John Cena. What I thought was crazy is there was 2 championship matches. Now you knew that the title wasn't going to change hands, but there were 2 championship matches. The first match was a tag team championship match. The last match was a street fight for the United States title. You knew they weren't going to change hands, but still it had. Well, I take that back. I knew they weren't going to change hands. That crowd was 85, 90% marks. So a lot of people thought it was going to change hands, or at least thought there was a possibility. Another thing I learned at this show, and I always wondered why people said that John Cena was for kids. And, I don't necessarily get it. I understand he does a lot of Make-A-Wish stuff, and he's kind of like a modern day. Oh, I can't say his name. I can say his name. It's not a WWE podcast. He's like a modern day Hulk Hogan, right? He's about 2 seconds away from telling kids to eat their veggies and do their homework. But that doesn't really translate to me because I'm a man and I just like the work, and I think his character is kind of funny sometimes, and so I don't really get it. But after going to a house show, because the house show crowd was about 85% marks, right? The last show that I went to, the only show I went to before that, Mania, is the other way around. It's probably 85% smarks. So people know at Mania what's going to happen, or what can happen, and what's likely to happen. At the house show, you got people who won tickets on the radio. You got people who just brought their kids who never watch it. So the atmosphere at the house show was a lot different than what it was at Mania. At Mania was pretty much like a foregone conclusion what was going to happen for the most part. And there were some surprises, obviously, The Rock and the cash in. But anyways, back to the house show. So the atmosphere was great. I mean, people were just psyched. The merch lines were to the door the whole time. Everybody was pumped. So shout out to Bakersfield for really putting on a good show, really bringing down the house, man. The crowd was wild. There was energy in the building, and it was good. There was a ton of matches. It went for 3 hours. 3 hours of solid work. A couple little promo things with the Miz and the Big Show. Miz got into it. He started insulting the crowd, and he ended up getting into it with the mascot for the Bakersfield Condors, the American Hockey League affiliate of the Edmonton Oilers. Shout out to Condors. So Big Show came out, gave him a knockout punch, took off with the bird. It was really good. It was because it wasn't long, it wasn't drawn out. It was pretty much what they've been doing, where the Big Show just comes out and drops the Miz. So I thought it was good. Everything about it was good. It was, entertaining. Didn't drag on. The matches weren't too long. It was good. So I think I would encourage you to, if you're a wrestling fan and you're hearing this and you have a chance to go to a house show, even if you have to get the $15 ticket, trust me, there will be no bad seats, probably. So at least in our arena, there wasn't. There was nobody even in the upper deck. So we have a moderate-sized arena, 8,000 seats, I think, for a hockey game. So it could possibly 10,000 for a wrestling event, but there wasn't that many. Trust me. There was, like I said, 3,000 people. That's 2,500, not 25 people or 3,000. I'm not that stupid. But anyways, so house shows are great. Like I said, I encourage you to get out there, go to them, support these guys. You had big names at this house show. You had Sheamus, Mr. Money in the Bank. You had Randy Orton, John Cena, Kevin Owens, Cesaro, New Day, primetime players. Another thing I learned is that Damian Sandow and Curtis Axel are not dead. They are not fired. They're wrestling. They're still around. They don't have the same gimmick. Obviously, they're probably not going to let him do the Hulk Hogan thing anymore. Something we'll cover in our last segment of the night or the day or whatever. You can insert your own time of day there, but they're still there. And Brad Maddox is still around too, working house shows. He came out, and it looks like they're working on a tag team that's going to be probably moving to TV sooner rather than later, but with Brad Maddox and Adam Rose, the Gentleman's Fitness Express, or whatever. I don't know. They lost, but it's kind of a good idea. It's kind of a good gimmick. It bring Adam Rose back on TV. He kind of got pretty over with the whole E60 thing. So, yeah. All right. So, pretty much just wrapping up the house shows segment. I think the gist of the story, the moral of the story is if you get a chance to go to a house show, if you have a house show within driving distance of your town, pack up your car, pack up your kids. They're kid-friendly. Kids love them. My daughter, who doesn't even know how to marked out for Randy Orton. It was crazy. I got her a snow cone. She was eating the snow cone. Randy's music hits, and she stopped eating the snow cone, started cheering. Didn't do that for anybody else. So if you get the chance, take your kids. They're super kid-friendly. Kids love them. They're great. So I couldn't say any more great things about house shows. All right, I'm back for the last segment of the night. I'm not going to be too long. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. And we'll wrap this show up, and we'll send you guys on your way. Hulk Hogan said some terrible things, done some terrible things. He is an all-around kind of a bad dude. But nevertheless, he is the grandfather of the sport, both in age and I guess you could say wisdom, right? Either way, whatever he's done, like him or hate him, love him or hate him, care for him or hate him, tolerate him or hate him, we wouldn't be where we are today in the sport without him. And to just abandon him for what he said, I'm not against taking him off TV. I'm not against doing any of that. I think that might be the right thing to do with the way that America reacts to things in today's America. But I don't think scrubbing him from history is the right thing to do. I don't think scrubbing him from the video games and scrubbing him from the archives and the website. And although I do enjoy all of the memes are great. I saw one this morning and I shared it on the Pod's Facebook page. It was just a spotlight coming down the ramp at Backlash. So I do enjoy those. Keep those coming. But I think the dude, he really didn't get a fair shake, I guess you could say. So, show some support for the Hulkster. I am curious to see who they replace him with on Tough Enough. Hopefully it's Bret Hart or maybe Shawn Michaels, I think would be great. But it'll probably just be some dude out of the back. But I think there needs to be at least one legend on that panel. I don't think Daniel Bryan falls in the category of legend yet. But he has been cleared by an independent neurologist. So just waiting for the WWE to clear him, and he'll be back hopefully soon. Hopefully, maybe he'll answer the U.S. Open Challenge tomorrow. That'd be awesome. So, so as far as the Hulkster goes, I'm halfway on board with it. I know he's a bad guy. I know he said some really, really bad things, some really terrible things. But two things. He wasn't spewing hate in a public forum. He was having a private, or what he thought was private, conversation with somebody. Obviously, I don't condone racism. I'm not condoning that type of talk or those things. But I know we've all said things in private conversations that if they were to be released to the public or to anybody else or to our close friends or family, that we would probably have to hang our heads. So if you can, get out there, show support for Hogan, the Hulkster. The reason that you probably like wrestling, like it or not, without Hogan, there's nobody else, right? There's no Stone Cold, there's no Rock, there's no Mick Foley, John Cena. All of those people in one way, shape, or form were influenced by Hulk Hogan. So Hulk Hogan doesn't become popular. WWE doesn't have the money to compete in the mid to late 90s for ratings with WCW. So even though he was one of the main guys they were competing against. But they just he was, he's the guy that made it. He's he's the most over guy in the history of the sport. So I hate to see him be treated this way over some rather difficult comments, but he doesn't really deserve this kind of treatment. So that's that. That's it for this week, guys. Hope to get the gang all back together this week, and keep laying it down for you guys. So again, connect with us on Twitter at NearFallPod, at JoelRam_NFP, at Hanley2006. Find us on Facebook. Check out LDR WWE on Instagram. It's a cool page. Got a lot of pictures of some cool kids on there. So, and like always, man, we'll see you guys next week.